Tim Sales is really good at sort of misdirecting people, and if they don't know more information, that's the conclusion they're going to come away with, that there's lots of customers in MLMs, and there just isn't. So if you have any comments on that, Glenn, go right ahead.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is another example of Sales is smart. He's not misguided. He's not uneducated on this topic. He knows there's no customers, but he'll use the analogy of getting customers like MLMs is all about selling products. It's not. He knows it's not. He knows it's about making people think that they're certain to become rich when he knows they're almost certainly not going to become rich. So that to me, he knows it's wrong, but he also thinks this is the best way, easiest way for me to make money.
Yeah, and just think about the idea, even if you're not familiar with MLM, just think about the idea that a large group of people, distributors in an MLM, IBO'S in the case of Amway, that's their name for distributors, that a large group of people could successfully sell a large quantity of products to people that are not distributors, and the products are overpriced. I mean, just on a purely very basic logic basis, that just doesn't make any sense. And that's why we can comfortably say, and I can comfortably say, because I've been looking, by the way, I'm open-minded. I can't find an MLM overall that has as many retail sales to outside customers as they're consuming internally. Now, there's many MLMs that have small groups within an MLM that's doing that, but overall, I'm looking. I haven't found one yet that can meet that sort of 50-50 minimum requirement. It's not really a requirement, but it's kind of where the FTC has drawn the line. And it just, I can't find one. I'm looking. So it's one of those things. Now, on another level, when you have Amway and a tool scam on top of that situation, and everybody has limited time, right? We all have 24 hours a day. We all have to sleep. We all have to, eat, cleanse ourselves, go to the bathroom, all these different activities, work. There's only so many hours in a week that we can spend doing, an MLM. And so just throwing away the immoral and unethical aspects of what we're talking about, if you were an upline, would you want to tell your Amway downline to go sell some products, and you're going to make pennies from that? As an upline distributor, you might make a few pennies from their retail sales. But if they go out and find distributors and they sign them up and they buy tools, now you're going to make dollars, not pennies. You're going to make big dollars. And so just from a purely business economic standpoint, it's pretty obvious why companies that, MLMs like Amway teach to go out and get distributors and not spend your limited time finding customers. And that's just another layer of incentive, I guess you could call it, that Amway has, even the MLMs that don't have tool scams do not have. So it just makes Amway worse. It's the worst of the worst as far as I'm concerned. But any comments on that, Glenn?
Yeah, I think basically if you want to sell something, you need one of two things. You need a website, which Amway people aren't allowed to set up their own websites to sell products, or they're not allowed to list it on forums like eBay or Gumtree. So that's out. Or you need a shop, and they're not allowed to have their own shop. So how exactly are they meant to sell to customers? I mean, you could go door to door, but I mean, if you get the best salesperson in the world to go door to door, and you gave them Glister toothpaste, the Amway toothpaste, I'm telling you, the best salesperson in the world could not sell that toothpaste at that price. Absolutely impossible. And that's why nobody does it. Nobody goes door to door selling Amway products because it's impossible. You can't sell Amway products door to door. So there's literally no way you can sell Amway products on a big scale to a lot of people. It's impossible. And that's why nobody does it. Instead, what they do is they sell what they call franchises. What they're selling is an Amway franchise, which they're telling you is certain to succeed and make you rich, when the reality is that it's not.
Yeah, yep, that's a good illustration as well. So Tim Sales also talks about product claims, and that your personal experience with a product is acceptable. That's called anecdotal evidence. It's not what you would call statistical evidence. You know, you're not doing like a double-blind study and determining that this product has this benefit. But, you know, it is acceptable, even in the United States, to make a personal claim, you know, an anecdotal claim that this product did this for me. The problem becomes a lot of MLMs, and I know this is true in Herbalife because it's all over Bill Ackman's research and other places you can find this, is that the Herbalife distributors are encouraged to just make up stories. You know, hey, you don't have a good story, make one up. So, you know, and I think the same thing happens in Amway. You know, they exaggerate the benefits, they make it a personal story, but then to many people that sounds like it's an across-the-board factual, you know, cause and effect, and it gets into a pretty gray area after a while, but it's really taken advantage of, you know, as far as MLMs making product claims. And that's something that the FTC has been focusing on more recently is false product claims, particularly last year when the coronavirus hit and there was a lot of MLMs that were saying, hey, take our products, you can prevent or lessen the effects of the coronavirus. So any comments on that, Glenn?
Yeah, you have to make false claims. If you're going to sell a toothpaste that's 5 times the price, you've got to say that it's 5 times better to justify the person buying it. So that's why you have to exaggerate the how good the products are, because otherwise, what possible reason could there be for them being 5 times the price? Yeah, I mean, they criticize distributors for making exaggerated claims, but the only way you can sell that product is to make an exaggerated claim.
Right. Yeah, those
no
go
way to do it.
hand. Yeah, those two go hand in hand.
They're
totally
selling.
agree.
I mean, at the end of the day, the reality is they're selling a franchise. They're selling an Amway franchise. Now, I think this is an area where me and you disagree a little bit when you talk about saturation. If you use McDonald's as an example, in Australia there's 970 McDonald's franchises. That's 970 for 25 million people. In Australia, there's 108,000 Amway franchises. So, I mean, if McDonald's couldn't support 108,000 McDonald's franchises, so how on earth could Amway support 108,000 different franchises? Even if everybody's working, if every one of those 108,000 franchise owners worked 80 hours a week, the bottom line is there's just not enough demand for Amway products to support 108,000 different franchises.
Yeah, and where I come down on that is, you know, a McDonald's or any other fast food restaurant, they have a lot more volume than your typical Amway distributor. You know, your typical Amway distributor out there is a single person or a couple, you know, going out making, you know, a handful of contacts a week, whereas a McDonald's, you know, has hundreds of people come in every day, maybe even thousands, I don't know. And
well,
so
that's my point. There's no demand. There's more demand for McDonald's than what there is for Amway, yet there's more Amway franchises than what there are McDonald's franchises.
Yeah, but the Amway franchises are much smaller scale. It's individuals going out making one-to-one contacts.
Yeah.
It's not a, you know, store that has, you know, big signs and, you know, a reputation and all that stuff. It's the fact that you know, Amway, the operation is much smaller on an individual basis. So to me, it's not fair to compare a Amway distributor who might be contacting a handful of people every week to a McDonald's restaurant that's drawing in hundreds of people every day, and that's why McDonald's, you know, has that number of franchises, and Amway can have a lot more. But hey, you know.
Imagine though if there was a law made where if you were going to sell a franchise, and this law would apply to Amway because Amway is selling franchises, that you must disclose straight away what percentage of franchises are profitable and what percentage of franchises lose money. If that became a law, Amway would die because you'd have to disclose that 99.7, you'd have to disclose that straight away. That would have to be on their website. That would have to be in their brochures. That would kill it to me almost instantly. Imagine a franchise fair if the store, so every franchise has got a store, right? And at the front of the store